Hello, we're Team 3, and this is a brief demonstration of the resource module for the OneStep Relief platform. The resource module will be available here on the left through the integrated UI, and when we're authenticated, we'll be greeted with this screen. In general, the purpose of the resource module is to provide a marketplace for users to procure goods and services from accredited suppliers to support relief efforts. So for example, here we can see there are 3 resources available to us when we log in. In this case, we have toilet paper, a tent, and a stove. We can see some basic information about these resources, including their name, brand, and price. But perhaps more importantly, we can see things like a rating based on reviews, how many times the resource has been viewed to get a basic feel of supply and demand, and their location relative to the currently authenticated user. These resources, of course, will be filterable, sortable, and searchable based on a variety of dimensions. Right now, we can do it based on price or the date they were added, or just based on search terms. So if I want to search for tents, we can do that and see all available tents, for example. We can see more details about a resource by just clicking on it. So if I want to see details about this stove, we can get a more detailed description. And here you can also see a placeholder for a map. So the idea in general is we'd like to use that geographic information to provide a more interactive way for the user to see where it is relative to where they are. Down below, we can also see a review functionality. Here we can see Sharjil's already left a review. If we bought the stove, we can, of course, go in here and add another. So I'm just going to add a comment here, hit submit. If we hit OK and we scroll down, you can see there's now 2 reviews and the rating updates based on those reviews. Now we're going to come back to the order and cart functionality in a little bit, but for now we're going to head to the administrative side. The other key part of the resource module is the ability for accredited suppliers to manage the resources that they have available for sale. There's essentially 3 portions right now to the administrative component. First is a series of preferences for a supplier. Portions of these will probably be drawn from the organization module, so for example, their location. But some of these characteristics are going to be specific to the resource module. So for example, the options that they might have available for shipping. This is likely to evolve over time, but the main idea here is that these sort of act as a default for convenience when adding resources for a supplier. It's important to note that even though location may act as a default, a supplier may still choose to more granularly choose a different location on a resource by resource basis, depending on where they're available. Moving on, we, of course, also have an administrative panel for the resources that we're selling. So here are the 3 products we saw earlier. In practice, of course, a authenticated administrator will only see the resources that they're responsible for. So right now here we see Sharjil is responsible for both the Home Depot and Salvation Army. The key idea there, of course, is that a given person could be responsible for multiple suppliers. And so here we can see, just to demonstrate the ability to see lists of different suppliers, we can see everything. We can see just Home Depot. We can see just Salvation Army, and so on. And of course, as far as CRUD goes, we can update these resources and delete them. Most importantly, though, we can create new ones. So let's say I want to add a wheelchair product here. We're going to specify a variety of parameters and features, including price, a picture, brand, count in stock, category, description, its condition, a supplier, so we'll do Salvation Army. Again, the options that are available for delivery and the lat and long. And then we'll go ahead and say create. That'll generate the resource. And so here on the administrative panel, we can see we've added it. But more importantly, if we head back to the main page, we can see the resource now available for sale. Now, if I want to actually buy a resource, let's say I want to buy this tent, for example, we can add it to our cart. So here we're going to buy this tent. And now we can proceed through a series of steps to purchase it. This part's a bit more raw than some of the other functionality, but just to illustrate that this is currently hooked up to blockchain, we can define, for example, our shipping information, so our address. And just like the fund module, I can define the public and private key of the blockchain account that I'm using. And so I'll continue. I can see a summary of the order that I'm about to place. And so just to illustrate the blockchain connectivity, I'm going to head into Insomnia for 1 sec. This is the current balance of the supplier account. So we're sitting at 835 on the tail end here. If I place the order, that'll take 1 second to process. And if we head back to Insomnia, we'll give it 1 second, hit send again, and here you can see we're now sitting at 931. In other words, the funds have been transferred from the payer or the user's account to the supplier's account. And so last but not least, if we head back into the module, of course, the supplier also has access to a panel to see all orders that have currently been placed along with their status, etc.